Long-time Labour peer appears to have been attempted to resist all the pressure, but in the last 36 hours, things have snowballed beyond his control amid that welter of emails showing his closeness across many, many years to Jeffrey Epstein, who would refer to him as Petey, and this question of extensive financial links, payments, tens and thousands of dollars sent, it would appear, to Lord Mandelson. He denies some of them, he accepts others of them. And then yesterday, the bombshell revelation that key details of the financial bailout settlement in Europe were being leaked by Lord Mandelson to Jeffrey Epstein, sometimes emails being forwarded that involved the Prime Minister to Jeffrey Epstein within seconds of Lord Mandelson receiving them. All of that has added up to the kind of a programme that cannot be sidestepped, and therefore Lord Mandelson has today announced that he is stepping down from the House of Lords. He awaits to find out the verdict of Scotland Yard.
And Sam, as perhaps Nigel Farage has just pointed out, whether or not he steps down from the House of Lords is possibly not the biggest issue of the day. It is the fact that the government has passed information that they have to the Metropolitan Police, and that the police have confirmed that information has been received. The Cabinet Office referred details about emails to Scotland Yard. That's an escalation. Government very actively helping Scotland Yard's scoping inquiry to determine whether or not Peter Mandelson broke the law with the leak of sensitive information that could have enriched figures in 2008, 2009, 2010. Potentially very serious matters. I've been over in Westminster inside Parliament, Jane, and the absolute outrage of MPs at Lord Mandelson's behaviour, but also the fear, worry and disgust that he ended up being appointed our man in Washington barely over a year ago. How can that have happened? How can that go wrong? It still feels to me that although we are seeing right now the consequences for Lord Mandelson for what's gone on, there are consequences still of a different order, a different sort potentially, for Keir Starmer as a head of steam builds in the Commons, maybe coming to a head tomorrow with some kind of crunch vote tabled by the Tories to forced disclosure of documents, maybe pressure building around Morgan McSweeney, Keir Starmer's Chief of Staff, who really railroaded through that appointment of Peter Mandelson for the job. How can they make Keir Starmer's operation better is the question being asked by Labour MPs, who are pretty desolate about future electoral chances, given every bit of battering that this government has received. Could there be pressure in the Commons as soon as tomorrow, which Keir Starmer has to face up to? And Sam, where is this pressure coming from? Is this pressure obviously from the opposition benches, but how are Labour backbenchers viewing this? And is pressure mounting on Morgan McSweeney amongst those?
Oh, Jane, there is utter despair when you go and meet Labour MPs. Genuinely, they look wounded, defeated. They have no idea where to turn. They're staring defeat and unemployment in the face, or so they tell me. They want change. They want a better Downing Street, and they are not afraid to articulate it. This includes people who were elected for the first time as part of the landslide barely a year and a half ago. The sheer sense of abject misery on the Labour benches is palpable. The question is, where do they funnel it? Some, I think, do want a change of Prime Minister, but is now the moment? Maybe not. But a lot of them are coalescing their anger around Morgan McSweeney, who is seen by some as the architect of the 2024 landslide election victory, but seen by others as a divisive figure, a factional figure who puts his friends like Lord Mandelson into high places like the job of our man in Washington, British ambassador to Washington, in the face of clear problems, ignoring evidence that there might be difficulties around Jeffrey Epstein, which were evident at the time of the appointment. Maybe this all settles around his head. We will find out a bit more tomorrow when we hear from Keir Starmer in the Commons for Prime Minister's questions.
And we see what the Tories do with their bit of time that they get to control the order paper, to control Commons business, to see if they try and force an inconvenient vote on MPs that asks MPs to declare whether or not they want to see the documents around Lord Mandelson's appointment to be published, which could prove tricky for Keir Starmer, but more importantly for Morgan McSweeney.
And if Morgan McSweeney were to go, how tricky a position does this put Keir Starmer in?
So in the last few minutes, a prominent Labour MP who I was asking exactly that question to effectively said to me, look, we could choose to get rid of Morgan McSweeney, but the major question is whether we leave Keir defenceless, because then a challenge becomes almost unstoppable. McSweeney, for all his faults, is seen as an operator, and an operator who has shored up Keir, who is now tethered to Keir Starmer and his future, and has been effective in keeping ensuring that he has his bosses back. But does that hold? That's the question that we see at the moment. Just a few more details. I understand that the departure from Parliament, which has now been announced by the Lord Speaker, will be effective from February the 4th. So it's effective, that means from tomorrow. So it has now been announced in the Commons, and that means, I think, that we have seen the last of, bluntly, Peter Mandelson has taken his last ever steps in the Houses of Parliament. From tomorrow, he is no longer welcome through its doors.